Now, you might already know about this feud between Elon Musk and Marco Rubio. It even made Saturday Night Live this week, and this is what it's about. Inside the explosive meeting where Trump officials clashed with Elon Musk. This is from the New York Times, and it's pretty juicy. I don't know how they got this information because there's quotes from in there of what happened in this meeting there. It really was explosive, and it seems that people in the cabinet there really do not like Elon Musk, or some of them, and that it really does show. And Trump afterwards put out this tweet, which, as this post says, now we know they hate each other. Elon and Marco have a great relationship. Any statement other than that is fake news, Donald Trump. So that's how we know that it's actually true that he had to put that out. He is trying to say that it's not happening, but it looks like that is. Now, these are some of the things that were said in the meeting. This article spells it out here by Jonathan Swan and Maggie Haberman from the New York Times. Marco Rubio was incensed, they say. Here he was in the cabinet room of the White House, the Secretary of State, seated beside the president and listening to a litany of attacks from the richest man in the world. Seated diagonally opposite across the elliptical mahogany table, Elon Musk was letting Mr. Rubio have it, accusing him of failing to slash his staff. You have fired nobody, Mr. Musk told Mr. Rubio, then scornfully added that perhaps the only person he had fired was a staff member from Mr. Musk's Department of Government Efficiency. So definitely some bad blood going on there. Mr. Rubio had been privately furious with Mr. Musk for weeks, they say, ever since his team effectively shuttered an entire agency that was supposedly under Mr. Rubio's control, the United States Agency for International Development. But in the extraordinary cabinet meeting on Thursday in front of President Trump and around 20 others, details of which have not been reported before, Mr. Rubio got his grievances off his chest. So the airing of grievances, it's like in Seinfeld with Festivus, the airing of grievances. Did they have a wrestling match afterwards? Mr. Musk was not being truthful, Mr. Rubio said. What about the more than 1,500 State Department officials who took early retirement and buyouts? Didn't that count as layoffs? He asked sarcastically whether Mr. Musk wanted him to rehire all those people just so he could make a show of firing them again. Oh, well, then he laid out his detailed plans for reorganizing the State Department. So you have to realize this is Elon Musk, the richest person in the world, chewing out the head of the State Department here. It's kind of unbelievable what's going on. You know, Bernie Sanders has been talking about the broligarchy or the oligarchy, and this is what it seems like. We've got Elon Musk here talking to, state officials and chewing them out. Mr. Musk was unimpressed. He told Mr. Rubio he was good on TV, and the clear subtext being that he was not good for much else. Not sure if he is that good on TV either, or compared to Elon, he might be. Throughout all of this, the president sat back in his chair, arms folded as if he were watching a tennis match. So not saying much there, watching them slug it out. It has been thought, and I've said before, that he could throw Elon under the bus. He's prepared to throw anybody under the bus. He has before. So that could happen. And so not necessarily enjoying it, and did get on SNL, and it's been such big news. After the argument dragged on for an uncomfortable time, Mr. Trump finally intervened to defend Mr. Rubio as doing a great job. Mr. Rubio has a lot to deal with, the president said. He is very busy. He is always traveling and on TV, and he has an agency to run. So everyone just needs to work together. Can we just all get along? He's basically saying. So I'm reading quite a lot of this out because it's all good stuff. It's all juicy stuff to find out what's actually going on here. The meeting was a potential turning point after the frenetic first weeks of Mr. Trump's term. Well, frenetic's one way of putting it. Chaos is another. And move fast, break things, which is what Elon has been doing. And obviously it's been pissing a lot of people off. It yielded the first significant indication that Mr. Trump was willing to put some limits on Mr. Musk, whose efforts have become the subject of several lawsuits and prompted concerns from Republican lawmakers, some of whom have complained directly to the president. So we've got this going on as well as the protests. So Elon under a lot of pressure. My last video today was about the protest over the weekend, really intense protest. I'm going to put a link in the description to that one. You know, this is really ramping up. The stock's going down and he's having problems here. And the SNL skit was about that too. Cabinet officials almost uniformly like the concept of what Mr. Musk set out to do, reducing waste, fraud, and abuse in the government, but have been frustrated by the chainsaw approach to upending the government and the lack of consistent coordination. Well, he's just really doing what he wants. Thursday's meeting, which was abruptly scheduled on Wednesday evening, was a sign that Mr. Trump was mindful of the growing complaints. He tried to offer each side something by praising both Mr. Musk and his cabinet secretaries. It's like praising the kids. At least one, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who has had tense encounters related to Mr. Musk's team, was not present. Well, that's interesting. He did not show up. The president made clear he still supported the mission of the Musk initiative, but now was the time, he said, to be a bit more refined in its approach. Interesting. So is he pulling back Musk? From now on, he said the secretaries would be in charge. The Musk team would only advise. That's what it was supposed to be at the beginning, or that's what people thought, that it was just a consulting role, not a real department, the DOGE, but you know, he was given a lot of power or took a lot of power, and now it seems to be pulled back. But has the damage already been done? Is this purposeful, just pulling back? Have they done enough damage that they actually wanted to do, dismantling the government from within? It is unclear what the long-term impact of the meeting will be. Mr. Musk remains Mr. Trump's biggest political financial supporter. Again, that was in the SNL sketch, you know, about, hey, I paid you $300 million. Just this week, his super PAC aired $1 million worth of ads that said, thank you, President Trump. And Mr. Musk's control over the social media website X has made administration staff members and cabinet secretaries alike fearful that he will target them in public. Not just in the public, he has threatened to primary different people as well when he sent out a tweet and changed some legislation almost in the first week. So he has the power and the money to do things like that. And so people would be running scared a little bit, I think. But if nothing else, the session laid bare the tensions within Mr. Trump's team. No kidding. And news of the sharp clashes spread quickly through senior ranks of cabinet agencies after it was over. This account is based on interviews with 5 people with knowledge of the events. Okay, so they've had leaks from inside the room. It's coming from inside the house. In a post on social media after the meeting, Mr. Trump said that the next phase of his plan to cut the federal workforce would be conducted with a scalpel rather than a hatchet. Well, we could say rather than a hatchet, it's been a sledgehammer, or as Elon put it, chainsaw. I mean, he's been literally wielding a chainsaw to say that's what he's been doing, and obviously that's annoyed people within government as well as outside. A clear reference to Mr. Musk's scorched earth approach. Now, if you're getting value out of this episode so far, I'd really appreciate it if you remember to hit that like button to help the algorithm to spread it to more people. It really does help. Thanks. So the article talks about other people who are not happy with Musk as well. It details that if you want to go and see the article in the New York Times. But towards the end, it says, in response to a request for comment from the New York Times, the White House press secretary said in a statement, as President Trump said, this was a great and productive meeting amongst members of his team to discuss cost-cutting measures and staffing across federal government. Everyone is working as one team to help President Musk deliver on the promise to make our government more efficient. So the press secretary is saying that. And she did say that they wouldn't be lying at all. It started out the presidency saying that. It doesn't sound like that is the case with this. Tammy Bruce, a spokeswoman for the State Department, responded, Secretary Rubio considered the meeting an open and productive discussion with a dynamic team that is united in achieving the same goal, making America great again. Well, it sounds like there's some division there that's going on, we can say that much. And Mr. Musk, who later claimed on X that the cabinet meeting was very productive, seemed far less enthused inside the room. He aggressively defended himself, reminding the cabinet secretaries that he had built multiple billion-dollar companies. I've built multiple billion-dollar companies from the ground up and knew something about hiring good people. Well, it has to be said that a lot of people have left Tesla, and it's well documented in his biography that he goes into demon mode and fires people on the spot, and people quit because he's very, very difficult to work for. Most cabinet members did not join the fray. Mr. Musk's anger directed at Mr. Rubio in particular seemed to catch people in the room by surprise. Another person said Mr. Musk's caustic responses to Mr. Duffy and Mr. Rubio seemed to deter other cabinet members, many of whom have privately complained about the Musk team from speaking. So fear going on, fear of Musk, what he could do, money and power, and having the presidents here. And Elon Musk on X has put a poll on, seems to be concerned about his popularity, or proving that he's popular, that DOGE is popular. But of course, putting a survey on his own X profile, it's just mostly Elon-gelical supporters on there. So of course he's going to get a really positive result here. And do you support DOGE reducing government waste and fraud? Super yes. So of course people do that, but is that actually what they're doing? And the protests in the streets kind of say otherwise. And then he follows that up with super yes for the win, which is kind of cringe, absolute cringe. So some comments from the community about previous videos here kind of sum things up, how it's going and what people in the community think. An incendiary emperor, submissive courtiers, and a ketamine buffoon purging the civil service. And America is in a state of disgrace. I do think a lot of people think that about what's going on. He's eating the company image. He's eating the profits. He's eating the bank accounts of the people who invest there. Now, do let me know what you think about this. Do you think there's a lot of unrest there within DOGE? That was an insight into what's going on inside there. A lot of people do not seem to like Elon Musk outside the government, inside the government. The first video I made today was about the massive protests, and they are getting bigger and bigger, angrier, and people inside the government, some of them like Mark Rubio, don't seem to be able to get on with Elon Musk either. So what do you think about this? Let me know in the comments. Do you think that this will escalate and maybe Elon will be thrown under the bus by Trump? Do you think that's possible? How long does it last? People don't seem to last long with Trump, and this is definitely a volatile mix. But has Elon done his job of dismantling some of the government? Is he done enough in Trump's eyes already without Trump having to actually do anything? That's one possibility. Let me know in the comments. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube rather than watching on Spotify or listening on podcasts, I'm going to put a link here to a related video. Go and see that now if you want to. And also a subscribe link. Do subscribe if you want to see more of this kind of content in the very near future. I'm doing daily videos, trying to do more than one a day at the moment. And also hit that join button if you want to get priority reply to comments and early access to videos. Join as a member of the YouTube channel. And thanks to everybody for watching this one, and I'll see you in the next one.